What's going on, everybody? Another episode of Ballin' Out here with Sean and Grant. Today, we got a plethora of things to talk about, starting with March Madness. Got to talk about the end of that, see how everything is going to go as far as like the Final Four, who's going to go to the national championship game, give our picks. Then we have, some NBA things we have to talk about. There were some things that happened within the last week that were questionable. And then as well, we also, look at, some of the important games maybe for the standings wise and things like that, at least in the Western Conference of the NBA. So it's a full show today, but won't keep it long. We'll keep it short and sweet. Grant, where you want to start? You want to start on March Madness?
Yeah, might as well. Let's get the elephant out of the room.
Recap last weekend's game just real quick here. The Sweet 16 games, they were pretty good. And then he had the Elite Eight on Saturday and Sunday. Pretty much, nothing really surprising to come out of that one. Except I will say, the Sweet 16 game with BYU and Alabama, that was BTA by Alabama a lot. I think they broke a record.
They did. That 3-point record was there. They hit, I don't know how many exactly, but I think there was a stat that said if they did not hit a single 2-pointer, they still would have won that game.
Which is insane.
Yeah.
The Michigan and Auburn game, was interesting as Michigan had him for a minute and then blew it. But then, elephant in the room addressed it, Michigan State falling to Auburn 70-64 in the Elite Eight. I think I said this at the beginning, I of course, want the Spartans to win because that's what I'm rooting for. But at the same time, like, I knew this Auburn team was pretty good. And, probably they were in my bracket to move on to the Final Four. But it is bittersweet seeing a team that you thought had potential to go to the Final Four, maybe possibly win a national championship, come up short. What are your thoughts on the game and everything like that?
Yeah, at the end of the day, Michigan State is talented, but for one, Achilles' heel was can't shoot the damn ball, and that was just the name of the game on for that Elite Eight game. Especially when you got Trey Holloman going 0 for 10. Just throwing up bricks. We'll get into a little bit more about that here in a second, but yeah, it was just the end of the day. You couldn't shoot the damn ball, and I'll give Johnny Broome his credit. That dude's a baller. That dude is good. I was shocked he even came back to continue playing after he basically hyperextended his elbow or whatever it was, and then his knee too. It looked like. Tough kid. I'll give him that. He was talking his talk. He deserved it. Auburn definitely deserved it. We couldn't shoot the ball to save our life. So until like the very very end, of course, when Aiken started hitting all those threes for us, but it was just too little, too late. And so yeah, hats off to Auburn. They're a good team. It is what it is. Like you said, sucks when your team gets bounced. I also want to point out my Arkansas Razorbacks blew it. I was just in shambles. Basically that whole weekend. 98% chance to win that game, and then they didn't. So yeah, it was tough. March Madness has been complete madness for sure. Besides the fact that the 1 seeds are all making it to the Final Four, that I don't think that's happened since like 2008 or something like that. So kind of crazy to see that. But like I said, it'll be a good Final Four. I'm actually very excited to watch that Duke and Houston game there because I think Duke is one of the better teams we've seen in a long time here. So I'm curious to see how that goes. And obviously Florida Auburn. I don't know exactly who won. I want to say Auburn won the regular season if they matched up. But I don't know off the top of my head right now. But yeah, that's gonna be another great matchup there. So it should be a lot of fun to watch those.
Yeah, no, that Florida Auburn game I think is going to be basically whoever wins the national championship. I know obviously Duke and Houston, they're both strong, so I'm not going to count them out. But I think whoever wins that game is going to be the national champion, and I think it's going to be Florida. Just because this Florida team is strong and deep, but so is that Auburn team. So it'll be interesting. I think just the Final Four, like you said, since 2008, this is the only time we've had all 1 seeds, and I saw some things on social media. People saying, "Oh, like this is the most boring, tournament because there's no big Cinderellas or anything like that." Like I was thinking about it, I was like, "Well, what do you want? Like, would you want 4 middle teams in the Final Four, or would you want arguably the best 4 teams in the nation to compete for it all. Like that just don't make any sense. But that's just people talking spewing
Yeah,
nonsense.
yeah. No, I mean it is. I will say there is an element to it when like there's upsets like that, and I mean that. Granted, the whole tournament there wasn't really too many upsets. I'll say, which I don't know. I look at it from both sides. Like you said, it's awesome when you see just the pure best talent out there. But it's also fun seeing those like smaller schools when they got a chance to actually take down like one of those number one seeds, whatnot. So I see both sides of the coin for sure. But I think I'd lean toward a little bit. Like I'd like to see at least one like not number one seed get in there, make it have some fun, see what they can do. But like at the end of the day, yeah, it is going to be awesome seeing the best talent out there. So it's not like I wouldn't say it's the end of the world by any means. Before I go on a little tangent here, I'll say just like the NIL is also just like it's kind of killing the whole Cinderella's like story there too. Because I mean, you might have one guy that if he's there for a couple of years and he's just an absolute hooper, like he's gonna go get paid at one of the better
Hmm.
colleges, and so that just takes away like those schools that you might have a chance to actually pull off that madness. It just you're gonna have a hard time retaining those guys as it is, and so it's I wouldn't say this. I'd almost go borderline and say this might be the new norm for college basketball now. Just kind of these 1-2 seeds, basically strictly in the Final Four. Which, like at the end of the day, like you said, I mean it's the best talent out there. So I mean it's going to be better games. It should be really good games, but it just sucks though. It sucks that these guys can't go compete these smaller schools, whatnot, and try to make a name for themselves out there. They chase the bag and go somewhere good. Which I good. I mean, all power to them. Like at the end of the day, if I was in college and I got 2 milli to go somewhere, like I'm probably doing the exact same thing. So I'm not gonna hold them for that. But yeah, it definitely takes a little bit away of like the spark of March Madness. I'll say.
Yeah. No, I agree. I agree with that. I mean, we'll talk about this too right now. I guess the transfer portal already open. I think it opened last week or whatever. Basically, in the middle of the tournament, and I just don't agree with that whole thing. I think it should be after. But then you look at it, and it's coaches, flying left to right,
Mm-hmm.
and doing everything. I just think I forgot who I saw said this, but basically, essentially, you shouldn't be allowed to have 4 or 5 years and be able to play for 4 or 5 different teams. Like that's not even legal in the NBA.
That's like at the end of the day, they gotta put some sort of restriction on it, whether it be like when you transfer, you gotta sit out a year type of stuff, or like there's gotta be somewhat of an incentive. Like I forget, there's a player too who's going on his fourth year and he's played for 5 schools. It's
Mm-hmm.
like you said, like it just that don't make any sense. Like basically, you can just bounce whenever. Like hey, if coach doesn't says something wrong to you, you can just bounce. You can go do whatever. It's like I get these good guys that they might start off somewhere and then kind of make a name for themselves and then go get their bag, which is, I mean, that's fine at the end of the day, but there should be some sort of restriction on it to the point where you can't go bounce around to 4 different schools in 4 years. Like
Mm-hmm.
I just don't think that's fair. I don't think it's fair right now to the college coaches out there in the game that do stay loyal to their programs. And are trying to get these guys to actually build into something. It just ruins all that. And I'll get into it right now. With Trey Holloman, like when he left, Tom Izzo was saying this is one of the most connected schools, like connected teams out there. Does the whole thing with Michigan, does all this stuff, and then just like up and leaves. Like there's just like it's just killing the way that I think college basketball is meant to be. There, it's not supposed to just be go do this one year and then they're not paying you the maximum. Like you're basically just looking for max deals every single year, which, like you said, I mean I think it's different from the NBA. Even if if you were just that player that signed a 1 year deal every single time and just bounced to whatever paid you the highest, like first of all, I just don't have any respect for that player. At the end of the day, like I get it, like I get the money, but like college sports is not where you do that, in my opinion. That's not the landscape of it, and I don't like the direction it's heading in that sense that guys can just go do whatever they want whenever they want without like any repercussions at all. I think if there was any form of it where either you guys sit out a year, you guys do this, or I mean, I think it's got to be something. It's got to be something. I haven't exactly thought of it. I don't know if like sitting out a full year is necessarily where you want to go, because I know that's how it used to be, and they kind of reverted on that. But at the end of the day, it can't keep going the same way it is, or else it's just going to kill the whole game. I mean, we're just going to see all these guys just going to whoever's going to pay them the most possible money, regardless of where it's at.
Yeah. No, I agree. There should be something done. And I think, an idea that I can think of right now is like, all right, say you're a freshman, you're going to X school. All right. After your freshman year, you either decide if you're good enough, you're going to go to the draft, or you're going to stay, or the transfer portal. I think, like, if you're a freshman and you go into the transfer portal right then and there, like, that decides, okay, you can't play for a year. Okay, and it's going to count against your eligibility. Because if you think about it, you can be a freshman and be like, I'll redshirt this year, and they'll then be able to have an extra year. So there's a fifth year. So like, there's a lot of loopholes around it now, and I think not only players are finding it, but agents are finding it, and they're just letting their players know, like, hey, like, you go here, you can get this X amount of money, or you go here, you have a chance to get drafted or something like that. So, and I think a lot of it, I think we haven't seen much of it yet, but I feel like a lot of high school kids, like, they're just gonna team back up. Hey, I play. He went to high school with me, 2 years ago or something like that. Let me go play with him now. I think something like that can start happening. Then basically it's gonna turn into AAU, at
Yeah.
colleges.
No,
And
literally though, yeah. That's exactly what it might turn into. That's just like AAU is AAU for a reason. Like it's
mm,
not like that's why I say like college basketball. It's just ruining that sense of college basketball where you can have one team this year, right, and then you're gonna lose like Indiana, whatever. They lost every single player on the roster basically. Like they're
yeah,
every single player is gone. I
right
mean,
now.
they literally have to build a whole new team, and it's just like that's. I mean, I get it. Some of them were graduation and stuff like that, but like every single player leaving is just there just has to be something done about it. At the end of the day, whether it be like, hey, you go to a school, you got to be here for at least 2 years, or like or
Mm-hmm.
something of that nature. There just has to be restrictions for it, or else it's we're already seeing it right now, and it's just gonna get worse. Honestly, like it's. I mean, we saw there's been 130 transfer, whatever the heck it is at now. I mean, numbers
It's
only growing. Like it's just got to be regulated at some point. There's just got to be something. But that's all.
Yeah. No, I'm with you. I'm with you 100% right there. So Saturday is the Final Four. Then Monday is the national championship game. And then we'll kind of wrap up the March Madness talks in our next episode. But pivoting away from college, moving on to the NBA, we haven't talked about NBA things for a little bit as we've been kind of letting the season simmer down and let the teams that aren't worth talking about anymore and let them get out the way and let the big dogs eat. Um, but I think the first thing we have to talk about dealing with the NBA is the whole Taylor Jenkins fire. Grizzlies head coach who got fired, I believe it was Friday. The day before they had lost to Oklahoma City, I think it was by like 7, 8 points. I don't know, but essentially the story was Jenkins went in Friday, was going to have regular practice, and then he got told that he was going to get fired. So basically, but he went to go clock in to get fired, which is kind of messed up. But I mean, that's how life works sometimes. But what are your thoughts? I just think, it's really odd for a coach to be fired with about 2, 3 weeks left in the season. And before this, the Grizzlies, I believe, were up to 4. I could be mistaken. I mean, it's going to keep changing. But yeah, just what are your thoughts about the whole firing right there?
Just it doesn't make any sense when you're like it. I guess I would understand it more if you were like not making the playoffs or something like that. When your team is struggling, you just got no morale, no nothing. Like I would understand that more, but like you said, the Grizzlies were sitting there as either 4 or 5 seed at the time, and they just lost to like the best team in the league right now on record wise. Like there's something way more to this that we're not hearing about right now. Like there's definitely some behind the scenes stuff where I wonder almost if there was something where like obviously you got like your key guy and John Morant and like kind of going forward in the future, like did those two just not work out at all? And you're just deciding like, hey, like this is the right time. Like right now we're gonna see like if they just truly just if they could be like if they genuinely think that they could be better than what they are right now with just for getting rid of the coach, it's still a stretch. But like, because again, like you're still sitting, mid seed in the Western Conference, which is one of the better Western Conferences, finishes we're probably going to have here in terms of record wise. But
Mm-hmm.
it just to me, it just does not compute. I don't understand why they would fire him unless like he had to do something. I mean, to the point where like this had to be brewing for so long, and it just got to the point where they said, screw it, like we're not going to take this into the playoffs. Like I wonder if it was something like that where they just felt like they couldn't get over the hump with him. But at the end of the day, I still think you wait to do that after the season, in my opinion. I don't see why you do that. Like you said, with like 2-3 weeks left in the NBA, like you're literally right there. It's not like he's got you like the 12th seed right now in the West. Like they're like you said, they're high up there. So again, I'm probably just saying the same thing, but it just shocks me. It just like it's something I did not see coming at all. I couldn't tell you the last time we had a coach get fired when he was, I mean, besides Adrian Griffin, or whatever, when he was coaching the Bucks team when they started off like incredibly hot, and then he
Hmm.
got fired, and there was. That's still like that. Just it doesn't compute with me. Like why you would fire a coach when you're doing so well statistically.
Yeah, it just and to me, it's like something like happens that it was that bad that you can wait like a month. Because like, be honest, Memphis isn't gonna go past the second round at this rate. So like you can wait a month realistically
Mm-hmm.
until you fire him, and then the whole story came out. So I think a lot more is going to come out with that. And to your point, you mentioned maybe it's just like if they think there's a coach that's going to make them better. I don't think so. I don't think that solves their problems. They have a and we saw it really last year when Ja was suspended and hurt, basically out for the most of the season. Grizzlies were terrible, and then now they're back and they're a good team and things like that. Everything revolves around Ja. So if Ja's not there, yeah, you're gonna be bad. Yeah, you're gonna lose games. But if Ja's there, then yes, you have your best chance. He is the franchise right there. So
Mm-hmm.
I feel like kind of another scapegoat like the Kings did, with Zach Levine and excuse me, not Zach Levine, De'Aaron Fox and DeMar. Just saying, hey, Mike Brown was the fault and the culprit of the issues, and the Grizzlies are doing the exact same thing. Ja Morant, he has his issues and things like that. I won't speak about more, but it's just I just think it's crazy to me. Just the whole situation, I guess, is just insane. And now Memphis, I think they're going to be in a playing game. Like it's very possible that they can be in a playing game. I think they have a very tough schedule to end the season. So they fall in the play-in. You got much more bigger problems, than that. So we'll see what happens.
Yeah, it's just like I said again, I don't know why. I just don't know why you'd make this move right now at the time where you're at. It doesn't make sense. And like you said, there's going to be more that comes out, and we'll figure out maybe the true reason at some point. But the Grizzlies felt like they had to do something, and for some reason, it was firing their head coach. Which we'll see. We'll see how that works. Like I said, I don't think they make it out of the first round. I think it's going to be kind of a one series and done for them. But we'll see. I mean, if this was the move, if they really felt like they could find somebody else or just have anybody else really step in and have more vocal leadership from the coaching head spot. Well, I mean, we'll see how that plays out.
Yeah, it'll be interesting for sure. Um, Speaking of just the Western Conference, the playoffs and things like that coming up. Like I said, I think teams have about like 6-7 games, so we're coming down to the wire here. But I don't even want to talk about standings because in the West it's
Yeah.
still all over the place. Basically from 2 to 8. I think the 9 and 10. That's Sacramento and Dallas. Those two are going to stay. I don't think Phoenix is going to hop in there. But yeah, so really 2 through 8 in the West, and then the play-in essentially in the East, because it's only the top 6 teams that have a winning record. But what is a team, or maybe a storyline you're watching out for to end the season here?
I mean, at the end of the day, I mean, I'm always looking at my Lakers squad, just seeing where the heck they're actually going to finish at. They've had a good couple of games down the stretch here, I'll say. I forget, maybe a couple of weeks ago they dropped a couple, and it looked like they were actually going to fall down. Because I mean, the West is so close. I mean, you lose 3 games in a row, you're looking at going from like a 3 seed wherever they were to like the 6 seed or something. So it's
Mm-hmm.
like really, it's not even one particular team I'm really looking at. It's just like how competitive and close that the West is. Like especially, I mean, we know that Thunder already got it locked up. It's nothing with Thunder. They're gonna be fine. They'll be that 1 seed there. But really, it's like what I'm looking at more is like the 3 to like you could almost go like 10 seed, honestly. Like there's just that's the whole storyline I'm most looking forward to see again. What teams can just close out the season? Because I forget there's a couple matchups. I don't remember them off the top of my head, but the West has got a couple key matchups coming down where it's like seed like 4 or 6 or something playing each other, and like that game could bounce the 4 seed up to the 3. The 6 seed could go down to like the 7 or 8, I believe. I forget exactly the matchups. I'll have to look it up once because again once we get a little closer, things might change by the time we get done recording this.
Right.
That's how crazy competitive it is right now. So I'm looking for that, and then kind of just an off topic, not really related to the playoffs. Like I'm curious to see how far the Mavericks end up dropping back. I know AD came back for a couple games here, and I think they are actually. I don't know if they still are undefeated with him playing in the lineup or not, but I'm curious to see if they end up, dropping a couple more to see if they can potentially get a better draft pick and set themselves up for next season.
Mm. Yeah, I mean that'd be honestly that's what they need to do because even you're banking on Kyrie, you're not gonna have him until All-Star break after that, so
Yeah.
it's gonna be like a playoff push, and you're gonna at that point you're not even getting 100% Kyrie, you're getting about a 50, and by playoff start, maybe you get like a 75, but yeah, so that, I'd be that is interesting. I think really, my storyline. Obviously, you mentioned your Lakers, so I gotta say, my Clippers find out you're in a plane or if not I flirt with it every day because Houston is sitting at that 2 seed, so I'm like
Mm-hmm.
shoot, like if we be the 7 or 8 seed, we play the first game and we win, then we play Houston. I'd see the Clippers easily winning that. But I think one team,
Easily.
another team I'm looking out for, the Pistons. Obviously the standings can't lie. Like you said, things can change after we're done recording this. Right now they're sitting at the 5th seed, only 2 games behind the 4th seed. I'm pretty sure they're probably going to be locked in for that 5. And the Bucks are dropping. So that's good. Yeah, so that's really and then just seeing how the Western Conference ends up. Because yeah, that's really I just want the playoffs to start. To be honest with you, I'm at that point. State lost, so now it's like all right, you gotta watch these last games of the regular season, and then we finally get to playoffs. So I'm just at the point where I just want playoff basketball, and just see what happens. I like the matchups. I think we're gonna get some good matchups this both in the East and in the West, starting in the first round. So yeah, I think life will be starting to be good. But if one of our teams can do something, try to do something, which is possible. It's very possible that the Lakers, the Clippers, Pistons, something could happen in playoffs. I think all 3 of those teams could turn some heads and come playoff time. So
Yeah.
any last thoughts, Grant, before we wrap it up here?
No, I'll say this too. Like, I'm curious to see the Pistons. I mean, I know 4 or 5 seed. Like, it wouldn't matter if you jump up to 4 or 5. You'd play, whoever the 4 or 5. I mean, it doesn't really matter too much. But I want to see if the Pistons can get home court advantage for that first round. I think that'd be huge if they're able to do so. But we'll see. Like you said, 2 games behind the 4 spot right now. Like you said, though, not too many games left, so we're going to see, kind of see where it ends up. But yeah, I'm very curious to see if the Pistons can, secure that home court advantage for the first round at least. I know they wouldn't have it going forward unless, a lower seed won, but yeah, well, we'll see. I'm curious. Like I said, the West is where I'm really concerned about right now, though. I'm not concerned, I should say, just curious to see what actually happens. Because again,
Yeah.
that's one of the closer races that we've seen. So it's going to be a good time. I'm looking forward to it, just like yourself, man.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, and plus, on top of that, we're starting to get hopefully some warm weather. I mean, I've been waiting on it, so hopefully,
Yeah.
one of these days we actually get some sunshine and I can enjoy some time outside.
Exactly, man. You get it.
Facts. But yeah, that's all we got for you guys today. Until next time, next week, we will catch you then.